The Utah Jazz have a sign problem. And if you did not see this, there were fans sitting courtside at the Jazz game this week holding up these signs. There were 4 rabbis sitting courtside. I am a Jew and I am proud. Not coincidentally, they chose to sit courtside at the Dallas Mavericks game. And they did that because America's favorite anti-Semite, Kyrie Irving, plays for the Dallas Mavericks. And you know that Kyrie Irving has had a massive amount of controversy around anti-Semitism and his harsh words towards the Jewish community. And it only got worse from there. If this picture had lived on, nobody would have said 2 words. The problem is Jazz staff and personnel asked and then pretty much demanded that these rabbis give up their signs and not continue to flash them. And it was said that Kyrie Irving was in fact the reason that Kyrie had complained and he was uncomfortable with those signs. Until Tim McMahon from ESPN asked Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving said, no, I didn't have a problem with those signs. Kyrie admitted he saw them. He said, I have nothing but love for those guys. I don't have any problem with those signs. Now, the Jazz, on the other hand, said, well, it violates our fan code of conduct for disturbing the players, those signs. Because Kyrie, well, it turns out it didn't disturb the players. And Jake, I think the Utah Jazz completely botched this situation.
And I think what's difficult about it is that, you know, when Kyrie comes out and denies that, it obviously is a bad look for the Jazz. And I am always very cognizant of laying criticism to folks like Ryan Smith or any owner or like anybody high up in a sports organization, because a lot of times they're not courtside, they're not seeing what's going on, they're in some back office doing calculations or figuring out who they're going to draft next or whatever the case may be. But in this situation, it's Delta Center. Ryan sits courtside for every game. We all know that. Like, he's constantly in the pictures, constantly in the news. Oh, he's courtside with Pat McAfee. He's doing this, he's doing that. Like, so we know Ryan's very present at these games pretty much every single night. And so my biggest thing with this sign situation is that I've been monitoring Ryan Smith's tweets. Like, I have notifications on. Like, I've been waiting for, hey, this is what went down. Like, this is how we handled it. And here's, you know, whether it's, I'm not saying he's got to apologize, but maybe just like, hey, this is why we did this. And we were under the impression Kyrie was annoyed by it or something. Like, some type of explanation, some type of clarification on why exactly this happened. Because without that clarification and explanation, this is a really bad look for the Jazz, because nobody gives a damn about your fan code of conduct. These guys were not causing any type of problem. These guys were sitting courtside at your game at the Delta Center, holding up some signs in their lap. They weren't like huge poster board signs, right? They were a reasonable size for where they were sitting, so they were cognizant of that, which I feel like is an important detail that not a lot of people are thinking about. If these signs had been like the big poster board signs that you see in like the bleachers at a ballpark or like NFL games, that would have been a huge problem. That would have been obnoxious, but they're not. They're a reasonable size for where they're sitting. So these dudes were not causing any type of issue. So when Kyrie comes out and says, no, I don't have any issue with it, all love with those guys, no problem, I saw them, but we're all good, that's a bad look for Ryan Smith and the Jazz, on top of this nonsense about moving the team, on top of the fact that your team is, well, for the most part, underachieving, but the last few games here, you've been overachieving. So that's why I say there's not, like last year with the Jazz, I felt like a lot of positive momentum, like we were moving in the right direction, like the Delta Center happened, like there was a lot of positivity around this team, and I'm not really seeing that positivity, you know, in the air this year. I'm just seeing a bunch of, you know, this thing, like moving the team, like I said, like the team not performing, like there's not really a lot coming out, and yet all I see on Ryan Smith's Twitter is like, love this random guy, or love this dude, or everything's cool. Like, that's all I see. Like, I don't see any meaningful thoughts or things coming out, and that bothers me.
And the struggle for me is that freedom's not free. And it's free when it's comfortable, and it's free when it aligns with what you believe. But these guys had every right to have those signs. And I agree that the Jazz on the whole, and I know I am not the one who said this first, but I think it is apropos. The Jazz on the whole have had issues with equality in their building, whether it is fans being racist and yelling terrible things at players, whether it is, I mean, I don't have to detail it. There have been issues with equality in that building. And so when you have 4 rabbis sitting courtside holding Jewish pride signs, what is the difference between this and a pride flag or a pride t-shirt, and we do pride nights across professional sports? What is the difference? That's the question that I would need answered. And if this had been somebody sitting courtside saying, hey, I'm black and I'm proud, would we have had them remove that sign? If we'd have had somebody sitting courtside saying, hey, I'm Latino and I'm proud. Hey, I'm white and I'm proud. Hey, I'm Asian and I'm proud. Would we have had a problem with that sign and had them remove it? I highly doubt it. I think this was, that's Kyrie Irving. He's had problems with anti-Semitism. Those are rabbis and they're Jewish and they're proud. Nah, we better get those signs out of there. And I think they completely overreacted to it. And I think it is an opportunity for communication. If I am those rabbis, I am asking to meet and talk to Ryan Smith because I need him to reassure me that I am welcome in his building. Because that's the level I think this rises to. Now, were these rabbis gracious about it? They were absolutely gracious about it. They handled it great. I thought Kyrie handled it great. So who's the only one being awkward? Yeah, the Utah Jazz are being awkward. They are. There's no other way around it. And I think that's the issue with Ryan Smith and his tenure as the owner of the Jazz. It's awkward. They're not trying to win now. They are and I think your point about the building becomes truer and truer every single time something like this happens. Every time there's a controversy, well, Ryan wants to move the team to Draper anyway.
So who cares, right?
Yeah, I think it's a real issue.
And I think that, you know, your point about, hey, it's been awkward since Ryan's had the team is an interesting one because it kind of has been a bit awkward. I think about, you know, and again, I know it's the Tribune here in Salt Lake, and I know they have a reputation. Okay, great, cool, whatever. No, I'm not even making it personal, but the reality of the situation is anybody in their right mind who lives in Salt Lake or follows this team knows that the Trib has had many negative articles, whether it's been the homeless problem by the All-Star game, whether it was Travis Scott hurting people at his shows and Ryan Smith wanting a partnership with Travis Scott during the All-Star game. You know, is it, you know, whether it's moving the team or any of these different things, like there has been sort of this, you know, I don't know the right adjective for it, but just this vibe around the team has changed. And I'm not even a Jazz fan, and I can tell that. Like I like the TV deal might be the best example of this. Like, I don't use Jazz Plus. I'll be honest. Like, so my path with Jazz Plus has been kind of interesting. So I cut the cord with DirecTV when the Jazz announced Jazz Plus because I was like, cool. Yep. The only reason I really had DirecTV is because that's how I could consume Jazz games. And obviously with our channel, we needed to watch it. And last year we were really heavy on Jazz content. So I had to watch pretty much every game in detail. Okay, great. They roll out Jazz Plus and I'm like, perfect. I can cut DirecTV. I can go to YouTube TV. I can integrate Jazz Plus. We're good to go. Try to use Jazz Plus. Didn't work real great for me. You know, I wasn't able to easily access it on my phone. Like I downloaded the app, but the app didn't work great. Like just kind of this, just sort of baggage with it. And so then I figured out, oh, what really is Jazz Plus? And this is what bothered me about it. Jazz Plus is not exactly what they said it was. Yes, you can watch games through Jazz Plus, Jazz games only. But what if I'm a basketball fan and I have League Pass? Oh, then you figure out that if you have Jazz Plus, you can watch Jazz games on YouTube TV outside of Jazz Plus, which is how I consume Jazz games now on the alternate broadcast. That's how I do it. And so whether it's the TV deal, whether it's moving the team, whether it's these Jewish signs, like whatever it is, I'm not hearing from Ryan Smith. That's my biggest complaint in this whole thing for anyone in that building listening to this show. If you still do, I'm not hearing from dude. Where is the sit down to talk about the state of the union of the team?
Yeah.
Where is anything that says, hey, I'm Ryan Smith and I'm invested in the success of this team. And I'm also invested in the impact that this team has on the community. Because just doing business deals that impact the community doesn't really reach your average Jazz fan. That's just like C-level conversation stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting conundrum. And I think this situation with signs and racial equality in the NBA, we have not heard the last of this.
And by the way, I'd like to point out, I'm the one that Ryan Smith needs. The 30-year-old millennial who's like coming into the money-making years. I'm the guy that Ryan's trying to get after.
Yes.
Like, not me personally, but my age group is who Ryan's trying to attract. So I don't know. I guess like what surprises me is just when Ryan bought the team, it was like, hey, I'm this young owner who grew up in Utah and I'm the American dream and it's all cool.
But can you even tell me that Ryan Smith and Danny Ainge are trying to win the championship right now?
No.
And are concerned about making the playoffs and doing everything they can do to win every game?
No. I couldn't say that as soon as he didn't move Jordan Clarkson. As soon as Ryan Smith tweeted about Jordan Clarkson, I knew what it was. Because at that point, you're telling me you care about, okay, relationship with player and like, making sure that we have familiar faces on the team versus just suffering for 1 year and then really progressing into like a 40-win team. That's what that told me. And I truly felt like last year, this team was on a perfect path. Yellow brick road laid out to 40, 45 wins.
Yeah, totally agree.
You weren't going to be a 65-win team. But 45 wins, you're in the playoff picture. You're probably pushing to be out of the play-in at that point. Like, you're in a great place.
Yeah.
And now we're not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think when I look at sports across our entire country, I think equality is going to become a larger and larger issue. I really, really do. And I live in Utah, and I make no qualms about the fact that we have equality issues in this state. There's no doubt about that. Tanner Plummer, I looked at Jazz Plus, and honestly, it's not worth it. Would rather listen to David Locke for free than buying Jazz Plus, but then you'll never know what the score is. If you listen to David anyway. Mike Smith says, just move the Jazz to Canada. Okay. Okay. Eric Wasikowski, phenomenal Hebrew. Are you a black Israelite? Oh, come on, man. I don't even want to know where we're going there. Buffalo Hunter, what's up, dude? I'd sign up for Jazz Plus today if I felt like ownership was making a legitimate effort to compete.
Facts.
And I don't think the one-off content has been what we thought it was going to be. I think that's a great point. But that's just me. Jeff Woodward, did they have Connor Stallion steal their signs? I heard he was in the building. Still, I don't understand why people were outraged he was at the Rose Bowl in a seat.
Yeah.
Oh, phenomenal Hebrews engaged with Carl Adams. Nobody should be engaged. You don't do it, Hebrew. You're smarter than that. Sean Rollins, playoffs? No. Mike Phillips, Mike, how are you? I'm really enjoying Jazz Plus. $120 for a season. I got rid of cable. Perfect. Well, I also could make that. Are you? Who are the cable cutters in the room? Because I'm a YouTube TV guy, and Mrs. Monty. Hey, Mrs. Monty.
Hey, Mrs. Monty.
Mrs. Monty and I watch HBO Max, which we get for free from American Express. I don't have cable or satellite anymore, and I never thought I would say that.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL Sunday ticket, seamless for me. The NBA League Pass, seamless for me. Super easy.
Yep.
Super easy. I don't know why anybody would have satellite or cable. I struggle with that. I really do. But that's just me. Mike Smith, someone who actually pays that much to watch the Jazz. Eek. They're not great. But last night gives you hope, even though it was Detroit. Cougar Tracks. A rebuilding year can only last for so many years.
And that's my point. Like, all of this kind of goes away if you're a playoff team. If you're winning, it goes away. Nobody gives a damn. Like, oh, it's Kyrie and signs and like, okay, fine, yeah. Who are we playing next? Like, what's the rotation? Like, we're gonna talk other NBA and like the Lakers stuff and all this other stuff going on. And all I'm sitting here asking is, why are we not talking about like, hey, what's the actual rotation on this team? Like, why is it? And bless his heart. Why
bless his
is
little
it
heart
that Fontecchio is the guy that we think is Superman all of a sudden? Why is it that we're like just all about these role player guys in the league right now? Oh, that's right, because you're being sold a package about, hey, it's a rebuilding year and purple jerseys and overtime games and the building's full. Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it bothers me, man.
Tanner Plummer, the Trib has a reputation of being angry and doing hackett work, hackett jobs. They do.
They do.
That is not a paper you should pay for. But honestly, I would prefer that over all the Salt Lake media that is owned by the church and not holding the Jazz accountable. Ding. Ding.
And you know, we've had that conversation on the show, and you know, my opinion is we've way outgrown just being a Salt Lake show, but like I think that's true, and I think it's part of the reason that Ryan Smith doesn't have to say 2 words. Ryan Smith could delete all his social media, and you could literally never hear from him again, and nobody would blink an eye.
Dakota Tubbs says, move the Jazz to KC. The branding with Kansas City Jazz music's a no-brainer. I mean, then the fact that Taylor Swift, who's now a Kansas City resident, she could – okay, let's move on. John DeLon.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. There's no Jazz in Canada. Yeah, there's nothing good in Canada from hockey.
Okay.
What's the music scene in Canada like? Is it Alanis Morissette, who last night –
Dude.
What?
You're disrespecting the greatest rapper of our generation by saying that.
Post Malone?
No. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, Wheezy.
No.
Wheezy F,
No.
baby.
You're disrespecting, dude.
Snoop Dogg? Snoop Dogg?
21.
Come on, dude.
Oh, 21 Savage. You're right. My bad.
No.
My bad.
No.
My bad. Thank you, Drake, for reminding me. 21 Savage, greatest rapper of our generation.
You're hating, bro.
What do you mean? What go Raptors? Alex Ray, a phenomenal Hebrew, still the greatest username I've seen yet. Unbelievable. And he's one of my favorite dudes. Not sure the Jazz is not sure there is Jazz in Utah either. I believe there's not. It's facts. Believe there's not. To be honest, there is no Jazz in Utah as well. See, we're all rolling together now. It's synergy. For me, even if the Jazz did have a real plan to compete, I still wouldn't buy Jazz Plus. You would. You would. Tanner says, I'm a cable cutter. Gumby says, never bought cable ever. Mike Smith, cable cutter. Noel Ramirez, $120 for a season pass. For Bally's, isn't it 70? But what Bally's, though? If Bally's regional sports, like the day of the regional sports network is going on. AT&T Sportsnet, Rocky Mountain, Denver, which is where the Jazz used to be, wasn't it? Or Time Warner? Yeah, come on. OG Gary, can we talk about LSU on the move to take Mizzou's DC? Not really. Wife and 3 kids, cable is only way to cover all their needs. Well, Jim, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. John DeLon, no cable here, Sling TV and Rabbit Ears. The Buffalo Hunter YouTube TV for the win. Amen to that.
Yes.
Thanks to YouTube TV, I can watch my Cal Bears in action on the ACC network. Never imagined this scenario, but here we are.
Because it's garbage.
Calford, baby.
Cal and Duke are kicking off in 10 minutes.
On the Calford Radio Network, bitches.
Man, those Golden Bears and Duke Blue Devils.
Duke is Duke.
Yeah, Duke is Duke.
Duke is Duke. Cut the cord while you're drinking Bucked Up, the official energy drink of the Monty Show. Tomorrow is Giving Friday because certain people blew off Giving Tuesday. So we're doing Giving Friday this week. Tomorrow we will give away a $100 Amazon gift card on the show, and you will have to show us your Bucked Up. Might as well get to work right now. We've also thought about doing a go to a Jazz game with us, but Jake doesn't want to support the Jazz with ticket sales.
It's not true. I never said that.
What did you say?
I said that's a good idea.
You said, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
But tomorrow is Giving Friday on the show. So get your Bucked Up in right now. And again, I will just continue to tell you, and I don't mind showing you my physique. Yeah. Anyway.
I don't really get it.
I don't know what that was. My hips feel better. The point is, I love the fact that Bucked Up is a daily part of my nutritional plan. I cannot enough say that Buckshot is the best product they make. But man, I might be converting over to their pre-workout because Bucked Up pre-workout is phenomenal. And if you use the promo code Monty at checkout, you get 20% off. Show me your Bucked Up. I had so many people This year, send us pictures of your, like my guy yesterday sent me a stack of 3 cases of his Bucked Up Miami in his garage. Bucked Up Miami, the best flavor, though the Cavender twins are tasty as well. And their drink tastes good. But the point is, Bucked Up Miami is my favorite flavor, although the cherry candy is amazing as well. Hook it up, buckedup.com, and you can get them for all our Texans, go to HEB, you can get Bucked Up. Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Maverick, Walmart, any Walmart's got Bucked Up. Hook it up, use the promo code Monty to save 20% off at checkout. Should the LA Lakers fire Darvin Ham? I think this is a huge story. Now, you know that here on the show, Grum, some of us are Kevin Durant apologists. I happen to be fans of people who actually are productive basketball players like Devin Booker, who will be an LA Laker before too long.
Come on, man.
Hopefully by then they have fired Darvin Ham, because if you go back on the channel and watch what we talked about, Darvin Ham wasn't the right guy to be the Lakers coach. It's the LA Lakers. Who's the best coach in the NBA right now? Steve Kerr?
No. I mean, he's a really good head coach. He's just in a much tougher position. I mean, I think, if the Suns figure it out, I think Vogel's there, with all the injuries they've had. I think
has Bradley Beal been a bust?
So far, yeah. I mean, dude's back just can't hold up. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's true.
Yeah, I think he's been a huge problem. But I can tell you who the best coach is not, and that's Darvin Ham, because the stories out of Los Angeles are getting ugly now. Darvin Ham has allegedly lost the locker room. Player rotations have been a big source of frustration. His finagling the starting 5 on a regular basis has pissed some people off. And frankly, there just seems to be a lack of understanding of what the LA Lakers are trying to do on a possession in, possession out basis. And I think we saw as much of that from Anthony Davis last night, who warned that if the Lakers don't turn this losing streak around, and I'd remind you, they've lost 3 in a row, they're a game under 500, and they are in the last and final playoff spot in the West again. Darvin Ham's not the right guy for this job. The Lakers need to go and get a guy who's got pedigree, who's got a track record, who's shown you he knows how to handle big personalities. And I'm not even sure that the right coach is out there, but I'm pretty convinced, Cenk, that it's not Darvin Ham.
And I think the problem is that your point about them sort of lacking direction on offense and even on the defensive end. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to watch the Lakers and see, yeah, this team it doesn't have an identity offensively. Like, LeBron and AD are in the game. Okay, is Austin Reeves on the floor or not on the floor? And if he's not on the floor, who's the number one option? Well, a lot of times it's Davis, but a lot of times it's LeBron. Like, who's shooting it from the corner? D'Lo went to the bench. Like, is he a starter? Is he a backup? Like, that I just think there's a lot of these issues. And I think the biggest thing at play right now is Darvin Ham wants to sit at the dais and say, hey, well, we've had a lot of injuries, and it's I believe he actually said it's damn near impossible to get chemistry and flow and rhythm in your players when they're hurt all the time, which is technically true, but every team deals with this. And the reality of the situation is, when you signed up to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, you didn't sign up to make excuses about injuries. You signed up to get the damn job done. That is the modus operandi, the expectation, the way we do things in LA is championship or bust. So when Darvin Ham's sitting up there making excuses about injury, it's not a great look. You then compound that with Austin Reeves saying, well, yeah, we just kind of got to figure things out, and like, guys got to play a little better. And then you've got Anthony Davis sitting in the locker room saying, yeah, guys know what they need to do individually. We know what we need to do as a team, and we just have to be better. Like, so which is it? Is it the injuries? Is it guys have to improve, or is it we just have to do better? To which I say, yeah, Darvin Ham's lost the locker room, because ultimately when a team's going good, the messaging is the same. Everybody's basically saying the same thing. We're all going the same direction. So for me, yeah, I think if you keep losing, if you lose, like, let's say they play, 400 basketball, over their next 10 games. I'd fire Darvin Ham. I would move it along because at that point, then this team can at least get around the fact that, hey, yeah, we had to fire our head coach, and now it's incumbent on us to just go out and get the damn job done.
And I think they really missed an opportunity with Nick Nurse because that's the guy that I probably would have picked to coach that team.
That word you use, pedigree, that guy's loaded with pedigree.
Yeah.
He's been there and done that.
Yeah, I agree. Kaufman. What's up, Kaufman? Keep up the great work, Monty and Two Holes. Hope you had a great time over the holidays. We did. Kaufman's been a member of the show for 9 months. Let's go. Wasikowski and Plymouth Canton. Kyrie Irving is supported by an anti-Semitic group known as the Black Hebrew Israelites, which would have explained his sign situation at Utah. Perhaps, but I think.
But what explains him denying it then? Like,
he had an opportunity to be an idiot, and he turned out not to be an idiot. So I just think it's one of those things where you got to figure it out. I mean, honestly and truly. Sean Rollins says Bradley needs you mean Brad Beal?
Yeah, it's not Bradley, dude. It's Brad.
Bradley needs bucked up. He does desperately. Desperately. Gumby Fresh Out says Carvin Ham, apparently. Jake made me in a script today say Darvin no D Ham. I don't get it. Carve that ham, Mike Smith said. Sean Rollins, like I said, they won their trophy, the halfway chip. Yeah, the in-season tournament. You know. Mike Smith, Hambone, have you heard? Okay. Jeff Woodworth, Two Holes got a soul patch?
Bro, like, can we not just talk sports? Like, why you gotta distract the show, dude? You gotta throw the show out. Like, you and I have had this, dude. You and I have had this conversation, bro. Like, what is this technique? Like, is this like, like, what is that technique? What is that?
Apparently, it's how you grow pubes on your chin. I don't know what that technique is.
Why are you using the word pubes?
Yeah, that's not a soul patch. That's a few random scraggly hairs. My point, indeed. Buffalo Hunter, the Lakers need Doc Rivers. Yeah, I don't know about that. I honestly don't know where you go if you're the Lakers, because that's a big job. And I think, you know, I don't know who's the best available or who's an up-and-coming assistant. Are you telling me you're going to hire Jaron Collins for that job? Are you Kevin Young? I seriously, Becky Hammon, her first gig is going to be the Lakers job. Come on. I mean,
where are we at on a guy like Monty Williams with everything he's gone through? So, like, obviously the run in Phoenix, terrible in Detroit so far. Like, you know, and I know this is crazy to say, but he's underachieved in Detroit. They should be better, and they're not. And, you know.
Yeah, I don't know where you go with that. I don't know where you go with that.
Because he's shown the ability to manage big talent. Big stardom. Like, he's shown that ability.
How are they so bad?